Hey everybody, Seth with Everyman Prepping here. And boy, do we have a lot going on. The last few days, so many things have happened, and even today, all kinds of things are happening. Haven't done a video in a couple days, been busy with life, prepping, all that stuff. Hopefully you've been busy as well, because we're all going to need to get ready pretty soon based on, well, as the thumbnail kind of mentioned to you all, the asymmetrical response that Russia might give. That was from Dmitry Medvedev. We're going to go into that in a minute. We're going to start with some light-hearted kind of a story to begin with domestically, hit a bunch of other stories, but let's get into it now because I know you guys are all busy. And we're going to start off with this here Nikki Haley story about the primary last night. As we go through all these videos, hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. Some people have been unsubscribed lately. It's been weird. We've had weird numbers going on with the subscriptions, but just make sure you're subscribed if you want to be. Hopefully you're joining us here. But Nevada had a primary last night, which is odd in the first place because they also have a caucus. And the caucus is where they actually award the delegates to the Republican nominee. So Trump's not on the ballot, but Nikki Haley was on there with a bunch of other, Mike Pence and, some other no-name Republicans. But she was hoping to, win this primary to give her some momentum. But as you can see from the title here, she lost to none of these candidates. Basically, she lost to none of the above. It's like that one movie, can't remember the name. If you know the name, put it in the comments. But there's that one movie where everybody votes for none of the above, because they don't like all the candidates that are offered. Anyway, happened to Nikki Haley here. 60% voting for no one. So no one was better than Nikki Haley. So maybe at this point, Nikki, it's time for you to drop out and do something else, because people would rather have no one than you. So there's that story. But let's get into the serious part of what we want to talk about here. And that's Dmitry Medvedev. He put out a post on his Telegram and on X here. Telegram's always in Russian, and then he translates it, so we're going to read this part of it. But he's going into Russia will have an asymmetrical response if they get in a war with NATO or if NATO attacks. So let's go into what he says. First, he says that, the leaders of NATO and all the EU countries, the United States, they're basically fooling their citizens. They're telling them, we must prepare for war against Russia. And he says the only reason they're doing that is to get the money and the arms weapons to send to Ukraine. They're fooling their constituents. And this is how they're doing it. This is how they're raising the billions of dollars, because they're telling that we're going to go to war with Russia. And according to him, not going to happen. Russia's not going after NATO. This is all just a ruse to get more money. And he can be 100% true on that. And, that Russia's, only wants that part of Ukraine to make that buffer zone, and they'll be happy and not go further. But, we all hear the NATO saying they're coming for NATO, and thus we need lots of more money. So that was the first part of his post. And then we get to the later part where he says that if such a war breaks out, so if a war broke out with NATO, if NATO attacked, or let's say something happens and they get into a war, he says it won't go according to the special military operation scenario. So he's talking about their special military operation in Ukraine, and where they're fighting basically conventional war. He says it won't be fought in the trenches using artillery, armored vehicles, drones, and electronic warfare. He said it won't be fought that way. He says NATO is a huge military bloc, population over 1 billion people, and a combined military budget of 1.5 trillion. About a trillion of that is the United States. But, he says we got to, they have a huge budget and a lot of people. He said, so because our military capabilities are thus incomparable, they dwarf Russia by so much, we will simply be left with no choice. The response will be asymmetrical to defend our country's territorial integrity. So what's he talking about? He's talking about going nuclear. He said, we're not going to waste time with this conventional fight. You outnumber us. You have so many countries, so much money, weapons. We'll just go straight to the nukes. So he claims this a lot, but, he's putting it out there again. And, it might happen. I mean, why would they sacrifice all the men and everything if they think they can get a first strike off nuclear-wise and take out NATO and the United States and forego all the, length of a war, of a conventional war? So he's putting that out there. And how close are we to this actually happening? Well, just this morning or afternoon, based on where you are in the world, Russia was conducting missile strikes in Ukraine, and they were going after Lviv. I know this map here that we're looking at is all in Russian, but this is Lviv. This is Poland over here. And what happened is there was a plane, Russian plane, and it shot a cruise missile. It was heading towards Poland. So what Poland do? They scrambled 3 F-16 fighters to intercept this missile. They thought it was going, across the border into Poland. That's how close. Now, they said it turned to 180 and went into Lviv and hit something in Lviv. Poland was thinking about shooting across the border to take it out, to intercept it. What happens if they do that? Is that considered active war? Do we go asymmetrical at that point? Is nuclear war on? I don't know. Are we that close? Is it that much of a hair trigger? Could be. Does Poland, if it happens next time, take the plane out, take the Russian plane out, just to be careful? Does the missile cross the border? That's very close. We're getting very close. We're scrambling jets to intercept missiles on the western side of Ukraine. We're getting close to NATO getting in that war. And besides that, we just had someone in NATO say, well, if something does start with Russia, we're taking Kaliningrad. That's occupied territory. That actually belongs to Poland or Lithuania or whoever. It's our land. It's not Russia's land. So, we're just going to take that. Well, you take that. Yeah, they're going to go asymmetrical nuclear on you also. So that is the stance right now. And I think it's closer than ever that if something goes across like that, it's going to happen. Although Putin did come out and say that he thinks Article 5 is more, not really a joke, but more bark than bite. I think he's thinking if the Baltic states fall, that, if they get attacked, that NATO's not going to come to the rescue of the Baltic states. They're not going to enact Article 5 for just them. But that's something to be said. So what do you do with this information? Well, you got to be ready to go at a moment's notice. You see Poland scrambling jets. You see NATO do anything against Kaliningrad. You hear about anything getting close like that. Well, just be prepared to go. Be prepared for go time. Have your bug out bag ready for going to your bug out location. Have your stores, your preps ready. If you just start prepping, you're gonna have to speed up. Go to that warp speed because the status of this world is not slowing down at any point at any point right now. So that's the status with Russia and NATO right now. Let's move on to some other stories. We have CENTCOM. The United States just did a Predator drone hit inside of Baghdad, basically. It says here that they conduct a strike killing the Khatib Hezbollah senior leader. So what they did is they found him in Baghdad and they hit his vehicle. It says, conducted a unilateral strike in Iraq in response to the attacks on U.S. service members, killing Khatib, Hezbollah commander responsible for directly planning and participating in the attacks on the U.S. forces in the region. So we have to take that they had intel that he did this. We'll see if that's actually legitimate or not. But anyway, they said there was no collateral damage and no civilian casualties at this time. Of course, Iraq's mad. They're protesting. They closed down the green zone, all that. Iran's pissed. This is going to fire people up. We're probably going to see retaliation strikes on an American basis once again based on this. If we want to look at some photos, we have the car here that they hit with the drone missile. As you can see, it's on fire. I would say that these buildings in the background, they might have had some collateral damage. Car after the fire was put out, and just one more shot. So that is what Central Command has been up to lately. Probably stoking some flames over there. If that guy really wasn't the way of planning it, kill Americans, well, seems like a legitimate target, but we shall see. Going on from there, we had the ceasefire deal. Hamas returned their response, their counter proposal to Israel, and Israel, outright rejected it. Netanyahu said, not happening. We're going to finish this war to the end. United States came out and said, that's something to work with. I think they're just BSing people. There's nothing to work with on this because this is what they said. As it says, there's no way Israel will accept it, which I don't think they will. So speaking on CNN, an Israeli official categorically dismissed Hamas' proposal, asserting that there's no way Israel will accept it. Israel wanted all Israeli forces to withdraw. They already said that's not happening. They're going to kind of keep control of Gaza from this point forward. They want a 4.5-month ceasefire, and on condition of releasing the hostages, they want hundreds of terrorists from Israel prisons released. At least, their people. They want Hamas people released from prisons. Hundreds of them, upwards of thousands or so, for the 100 or so hostages they still have. Israel said no, so it has died at this point. Sometimes I wonder myself, are many of those hostages still alive, or is Hamas just stalling right now to rebuild and rearm? I don't know, but that's a thought I have. Moving on from there, we have Turkey. Turkey says the company Baykar is constructing a drone facility in Ukraine, near Kiev. I don't know how this could possibly be. How can Russia not blow this thing up as soon as they start construction of it? They said it'll be done in a year, and it'll hire 500 people, and they're going to start pumping out drones. How can this be? And this guy says that despite the fighting, the head of the company said, these plans are in full swing, and nothing can stop them. I think Russian missiles can stop them, so this makes no sense to me. I have no idea how they would build this, how Russia would allow it to be built, because they know that the drones come out are going to be shot at them. I don't know why they just want to destroy this as soon as it's built. Very strange. Not sure what's going on there. Makes no sense. Then we had in Japan, we had tons of nuclear water released into the ocean. If you're on the west coast of the United States, you might want to just stay away from Pacific fish. But 5.5 tons of radioactive water was leaked into the ground. They say the ground, it's very near the ocean. It's going to go to the ocean water. It's not known whether it reached the ocean. I'm probably saying it probably has. What do I know? Just an opinion. But 22 billion becquerels, how do you know how to pronounce that? Becquerels, I don't know. At the maximum allowed discharge rate of 1.5 thousand. So yeah, very strong radioactive material in the groundwater, in the ocean. Pacific Coast people, watch out. Not good at all. Going on from there, domestically, the bank, the NYCB, New York Community Bank, they're the ones that purchased failed Signature Bank. So Signature Bank failed last year. It died. NYCB bought it, and guess what? NYCB is crashing. They've halted it. It's junk status. Now its stock, it's down to $3.50 overnight. It's probably gonna die. So this is what they wanted to point out to people. Here's their stock, by the way. You can see it crashing. But the head of the bank said they have seen virtually no deposit outflow from retail branches. That means there's no run on deposits according to the bank. If I had a bank and it told me that there's been no deposit outflows and it's crashing like this, that means to me I need to get all my money out of it. So that's just, like I said, personal opinion. I'm not a financial advisor on that. All that, no, not want to drive people to fear for a bank run or want to cause one. But if a bank that I had told me that there's virtually no deposit outflows, but yet it's crashing in junk status, I might want to get my money out of there. So anybody part of NYCB, you might want to think about your money tonight and see what you want to do. And then we have Tucker. Tucker interviewed Putin for a couple hours on on my X feed a couple days ago. I put some leaked passages or verbiage from that interview. We'll see how much it matches up with the whole 2 hours. If not, I'll post new lines or new interests that come up. But he did a little video. I posted it on X saying why he did it. Basically for freedom, to get Putin's point of view out there. Everybody is anticipating this. There's going to be millions of people watching it. It comes out tomorrow. It was at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, so figure out your own time zone from that. But 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time in the United States, he's going to put out the video. It should be very intriguing, outstanding. I'm going to watch it. I'll let you know what goes on if you can't watch it. But I'm very interested to see what he asked and what Putin's response is to a lot of things that are going on. The left is saying we need to keep Carlson. We need to arrest him. We need to keep him out of the country. It's treason. The EU is saying that we're going to bar him from traveling to Europe after this. Ludicrous stuff for a journalist just interviewing a world leader. Because you know what? NBC did it. CNN did it. All kinds of other news organizations interviewed Putin, and it was great. Tucker does it. Worst thing ever. So you got to know something's good is going to come out of this interview. Very, very interested in what's going to see with this one. And then lastly, we have this here. So what this is that in Kiev, they had another attack, and they think it was done by a new hypersonic cruise missile. What they call it, the 3M-22 Zircon. It travels at Mach 9, which is about 7,000 miles per hour. Almost impossible to shoot down. It's their newest cruise missile. Now, it's designed for naval launch from naval targets. They don't know how it got to Kiev. And it doesn't say in this post, but I was reading more about it. And so they don't know if it was retrofitted for a plane or retrofitted for a mobile launcher. But they said if it was, this puts a new wrinkle in the Russian arsenal of weapons. So just something else to keep, war's always evolving. And, they've turned a naval missile maybe into a land-based or air-based attack. Like I said, these are very hard to shoot down. And, they might see them more in the theater. So that is all I have for you today. I know it was a lot. I went fast. Try to get to you as fast as I can. If you have any questions or you have any intel, put them in the comments below and share them. Most importantly, like I said, though, watch your money. Keep an eye on your bank. What's going on with that? Let's keep an eye on Tucker. And asymmetrical response. Keep your ears and eyes open, the ear to the ground, the head on a swivel for what's happening with NATO. What are they saying? What are they doing? Is Poland getting closer? Do they shoot something down? Let's keep an eye on that. Let's hope it doesn't go asymmetrical. And we can all continue on a little further. So that's all I have for you. Hopefully you got something out of this. Until next time, keep your ear to the ground, head on a swivel.